Hey everyone, Paul with ConvertingCopy.com, and today we're going to talk about 4 bad link building techniques. Now in the past, all of these techniques worked at one time or another to improve your rankings in Google. But like with everything else, someone abused it, and a lot of people abused it, and Google got wise to it and didn't like it anymore, and consequently diminished the effect which these techniques had on rankings, and in some cases even punished sites which attempted to do them still. Some of these techniques still work in different ways. It just depends on how you use them. So I'll talk about that, but let's start off with something which doesn't really work anymore at all: link exchanges. Now this was very effective in the early 2000s. 2 webmasters or more could exchange links to one another's sites, and that would be a nice targeted source of link juice in Google's eyes for those 2 webmasters. So they would mutually and beneficially help one another to improve their rankings in the search engines. The problem with that is that there is no substance there. You can do this very easily, and there really is no quality associated with it. It's just exchanging links for the sake of exchanging links and improving your search engine rankings. So 2 very suspect and questionable with no value sites could be doing this to improve their rankings, and Google obviously had a problem with that. So over the years, these methods have gotten more sophisticated to involve more and more webmasters linking to different sites within a big link kind of knot. So it's difficult to identify, but Google is more than capable of picking up on these sorts of patterns. So really, it's not worth your time anymore. Secondly, we'll get into spammy blog commenting. Now, I know in the past, blog commenting was a very effective form of link juice. It still is to some extent, but you have to think of it as really the number of outbound links the page you're commenting on. So if you're leaving a blog comment on a page which gets hundreds or even thousands of existing comments already, then you know that that juice has been so diluted by so many different webmasters, there's nothing in it for you anymore. So you don't want to waste your time when it comes to these really spammy posts and websites which are not worth your time. Instead, there is blog commenting which still works. You just need to be more quality about it, and that means leaving good comments on good blogs within your niche which have a low number of outbound links and which are manually checked. So you can still get a little bit of link juice for maybe something very low tier in your linking structure if you want something like that. If you want to maybe help it get indexed, that's one way of doing that. But generally, you don't want to be doing automated blog comments or anything like that unless you're just not touching your site at all. So really, to get the most out of blog commenting, I've left a couple of links to other videos and posts in this video, so you can check those out on how to get the most out of blog commenting, and how I get 200 daily unique visitors on one website of mine through blog commenting alone. So still effective depending on how you use it, and that's one of those examples I talked about in opening. Now third, we have link wheels. I've talked in the past, generally they involved Web 2.0 sites that link to one another and eventually back to your main site or page that you're trying to rank for. The problem is the footprint is very easy to pick up. That means that Google can see exactly what you're doing and backtrack and see everything there, and there's no real value associated with it. And the problem is a lot of webmasters will over-optimize their link wheel and the links they create in there for the keywords they're targeting. And the problem with that is that in the wake of the Penguin update, Google is very strict when it comes to over-optimization. They really don't like the idea of people trying to game or artificially influence the system. So not as a hard rule, but maybe if you have anything more than maybe 30% or something like that of the links or the anchor text coming to your site, which are made up of your targeted keyword, then that's going to look like you're trying too hard. It just doesn't look natural. So they tend to go hand in hand. Link wheels can work if you maybe put a buffer between them and your site, and you don't go overboard with the keyword you're targeting. You might want to use a lot more generic and brand related keywords and I'll talk about that soon in an upcoming post, but generally you don't want to go overboard in one direction with any kind of anchor text you're using, but especially with targeted keywords or the keyword that you are targeting. So finally, we have blog networks, and I want to specify public blog networks. Now, blog networks worked ridiculously well. They worked too well over the past few years. Basically, you could purchase a link to your site on a high-ranking blog, which sounded great. It'd be a targeted, keyword-rich link pointing to your site, and you would create the content which would be posted to that site. So everything looked good and legitimate, but again, it was too easy to trace back, and Google was able to do that. And basically, they in the wake of the Penguin update, because this was really the collateral damage, were these sites, and the over-optimization was just rampant when it came to these sites. So they basically diminished any link juice a certain number of these blogs, these blog networks, put out, and a lot of webmasters relied exclusively on these kind of links because they thought it was evergreen, they would never get caught, and basically they watched their entire income or their rankings disappear overnight in the wake of that update, because that was all I did. They didn't work on any kind of link diversity or anything like that, so they were out of luck basically, and that just goes to show nothing is ever evergreen. And it goes to show that public blog networks don't work. They're too easily open to risk. Anyone can purchase a link on one of these sites, so it's very easy to detect the blog network and map it out, and I think that's exactly what Google did. So I want to mention again that private blog networks can work and will work if they are truly private, and the difference being that you have to own every single site within that network. They need to be on different hosting accounts. They need to have private registration. Whoas, none of that can be showing. So when you own all the content, then you're in control of that, and you don't have to worry about anyone else knowing your business or getting links from your site that you're not authorizing. And that's the only way that the private blog network concept can truly work for you, and it will work for you as long as the entire thing is private. So that's pretty much it for the 4 bad link building techniques. Just remember that any particular link building technique that you think is evergreen one day can change in 24 hours or less with the next Google update. So you need to be on your toes. You need to pay attention to Google. You need to make sure your link strategies and your sources are diverse, and that is the only way that you're going to survive the changes. And remember, above all else, make it look or make it natural, one or the other. It just has to be natural, as that's the only way Google is going to let these websites survive going forward in the future. It has to look natural, okay? So thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.